Welcome to another episode of Bitches Love Sports. I'm Bitch 2.
I'm which one?
And
We got new chairs.
And S Pain is really excited about these chairs.
I couldn't help myself. This is so good. This is so awesome.
All right. It's Monday. I'm not gonna lie. I've been struggling through this day.
Same.
And yeah, I've also been having a couple of issues, not here, but on my laptop, but with the stream and audio. So let us know, please, in the comments if you can't hear us or if anything looks weird or sounds weird, so that we can get that taken care of ASAP.
Please.
But
please.
Other than that, it's Monday. I've been struggling a bit through this day. So yeah, we've got no show notes. We're just gonna jump into the conversation. So if you're watching,
classic BLS episode.
Yes, if you're watching, please comment, help us keep the energy up, be part of the conversation. Because while we have things to say, I don't know, like, where's your headspace? Let me ask you, where's your headspace today?
Well, headspace. What even is a headspace? It's just a lot of space, but it's been a day. It's been a day. People at work are weird sometimes, and they ask you for things, and then it's everybody's credit, so it's kind of bullshit sometimes. But it's like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Like you, and then it's like, oh, we tried this and we did this. I'm like, oh, we all speak French now. Oh la la, okay.
Oui.
Martin says that it sounds good. Thank you, Martin, for always being there as support. I love you, dog.
Shout out to Martin Talk Cowboys. Yeah, I've been in a weird space, like, pretty much. I think I didn't get enough rest after the weekend. I was so excited going into the weekend last week. Like, on Friday, I got to hang out with Aisha. I got to watch the Wings play. I got to catch up with a couple of people I know who work for the Wings.
Nice.
It was great. Not Dallas. The hotel I picked in Arlington actually turned out to be really nice. It was cool.
Awesome.
And then the con fan expo the next day, speech went great. My cosplay was like slick falling apart, but it was funny because everybody kept complimenting me on it. They were like, "Oh, I love your Bakugo. It looks great." And I'm like, I can barely keep this on. Like, I'm feeling like a hot mess. Like, I tried to repair some people. Like, you ever, like, you've worked with like costumes and stuff before, and it's like you repair something, but then you go to wear it and it's just like the repairs don't stick.
Yeah.
It's just like I had fixed parts of it and I was like, yes, it's secure, it's perfect, it's gonna be great. And then as soon as I put it on, it was just like, no, bitch.
Yeah.
We set you up, actually.
By the way.
So yeah, I've got a few more things to do with the cosplay. Every time I dress up in cosplay, I'm just reminded there is no way they actually fight evil in this shit. No way. It's too uncomfortable. But
there's no way you're in big ass fights and like doing all these movements in this clothing.
That's the one that I'm doing for DreamCon is like that because she's a warrior, but it's like she's not really wearing nothing. It's one of those things that's like you look at it and it's like she's not really wearing nothing. This should be easy, but then you realize how hard it is to stick nothing to your body.
Correct.
In ways that make you feel secure.
It's not the same as just draw a line and then change the color. It's not the same.
So not very many pieces. But wearing those pieces securely,
and make them fit right,
is tricky. Yes. Like, so much is going into this cosplay, and I'm just like,
I picked this because it was easy.
Right, I might never do a half naked character again. But it's also one of those things that has me like, no way she fights in this for real. Yeah. I watched the anime, so I've seen her do it, but I'm just like, yeah, if you weren't drawn, this would not be a thing.
Yeah, we have a comment from Jonah Hill.
John L. Hill.
Yeah.
Jonelle?
What's up, ladies? Law Nation Sports put me on to your podcast. Oh,
well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining. And shout out to Law Nation Sports joining us on the podcast, putting people onto the podcast. Much appreciated.
Yes, for real.
Also, shout out to our mentor, Vach.
Hey.
He had a hilarious episode today. Sometimes I'll watch Vach's episodes and I'm reminded of just like how you can still have a great episode without show notes. Because honestly, the most interesting parts of their episode today were them talking about the Rush Hour movies. In my opinion.
Nice.
Kose said, I hope I'm saying that right. Said, what's up?
What's up, bitches?
Thank you for saying that in the plural. We had somebody over the weekend who used the singular form, and I was like, No,
What do
I'm
you
like,
mean? But for so
they literally replied to one of my tweets and was like, "Bitch," and I was like, no, 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 no. See,
bitch.
like, there are contexts where you can say like Jose said, "What's up, bitches?"
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can call us bitches love sports. You can call us BLS. You can
Uh-huh.
call me Jazz Lethal or bitch too. But there's no scenario in which you should say anything blah blah blah, blah bitch.
Bitch.
Unless your name is S Payne or Elena or Aisha or Pris. No. No.
Oh, power circle. Yes.
And if you have to ask, submit your application and I'll
Mhm.
let you know whether or not you qualify to
Mhm.
ever refer to me in that way.
Yeah, yeah. We can vote on it. Let us know. Just let us know. We'll let you know.
All right. So let's get into some of the fun topics we have today.
All
First,
right.
first a couple of shout outs.
Let's do
Shout
it.
out to Mr. Simi Fahoko
Hoo-hoo.
and
Oh yes.
Mrs. Fahoko,
Yeah.
Bailey. Shout out to Simi and Bailey.
They get a baby.
Their baby boy came into the world this past week. And Bailey doesn't post much, right? At least not on any platforms I have access to at this point.
Yeah.
But Simi seems very excited already with the dad jokes on TikTok.
Classic.
Videos in the Nike Monarchs. So yeah, shout out to them. And Simi's about to have his first Father's Day. So happy first Father's Day
Oh,
to
yeah. When is that
Simi.
here?
I think that's this week.
Well, in Spain it's like in October, so
I'm pretty sure it's this weekend. But yeah, so shout out to Simi, your first Father's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to Bailey. Any other shout outs we need to get into?
No, I don't think so. I can have a call out, but it's not a call out. We'll get to it.
Are we gonna get to it?
I guess.
I don't even know. Okay, is it a football, basketball, WBA? Something else?
It's non-American football.
It's a non-American football.
So it's actual
Is
football.
it about Messi?
Yes.
I mean, that might not be American football, but now that he's coming to an American team,
it's still non-American football. It's messy. And it is messy. So, anyways.
Okay. Are you on Twitter and Facebook?
I am. Well, no, I'm not on Facebook. I am on Twitter.
I'm gonna pull up Facebook because I want people.
Said that it is this weekend. Father's Day is this weekend. Thank you.
Nice. And happy Father's Day to all the other fathers who might be watching or who we've ever mentioned. But yeah, I definitely want people's input on this NBA final situation because I'll be honest, I feel like the Nuggets are gonna win it, but I don't feel certain in saying they're gonna win it tonight. And it's even hard to be certain that they're gonna win it all. But I really think that that's mainly because of how the Heat have been performing and the situations that they've been in where people are like, nah, no way this team is gonna win this game. No way they're gonna win this series. No way they're gonna, put themselves above this team. And yet it happens anyway. And so have we found ourselves in a situation where there's a team that can overcome the good fortune of the Miami Heat and the timeliness of playoff Jimmy?
I know.
I'll say this. In the one game that I saw the Nuggets lose, their defense was kind of lacking. And then their coach broke his foot off in the ass verbally. And then that wasn't an issue anymore.
Yeah.
And now we have I don't know if anybody has verified yet whether or not Tyler Hero is going to be playing tonight.
Well,
let me see. I'm gonna Google it.
Martin says they perform in uncomfortable situations. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
They should feel really uncomfortable right now.
For real. I still think the Nuggets are gonna take it. It would be, to me, it would be cool. I would like for Jimmy to get a ring. I've said that multiple times. I stand by that. But it would be really cool for the Nuggets to get it too. Like it's the first one. They don't have like any really big names. Well, I mean, yeah, Jokic, but like it's not like Luka or it's not like.
I would say they have more big names than the Heat do.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's how people have been talking about with the Heat. Like, oh, they have all these undrafted players and, we didn't expect them to actually show up and yada, yada, yada.
I don't know. I just feel like because they have not like traded pretty much anybody and like they have everybody since they got drafted and like they just grew.
Yeah, they're
like
homegrown.
Yeah. So
It's still
I
they
think it
got
would be
names
like
though.
really cool. I mean, yeah, but I think it would be really cool for
It
them
would
to
be really
win.
cool. And I think if I were actually a fan of Jokic, I would be like rooting for the Nuggets. Cause it's like, I'm a fan of players.
Yeah.
Which shout out to Micah Parsons for also being a fan of players. I felt so validated when he said that in his interviews because they were like, who are you going for? And he's like, I just like seeing athletes, I'm a fan of players, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yes, I'm not the only person who
You
does
got your
this. Other people
validation
who
from
get
Micah
it.
Parsons.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, Martin also says home run talent, very Spurs-ish. Yes, very, very, very much so.
there was a time.
Yes.
But yeah, I really feel like if Jokic were one of those players who was already on my radar, I'd be like, yes, the Nuggets are doing so good.
Yeah.
Because not like I was a huge fan of Jimmy Butler anyway, but it's just by the time the series came around, I was like, well, I got to pick somebody, and I just happened to like the Heat story, so I just kind of went with them. But Jokic is a great athlete. Like, I can't say that they don't deserve the win. Like, there's nobody on their team who I'm like, oh, they're just a shitty person. I can't root for them. Like, they haven't done anything unethical or immoral or anything that makes me dislike them.
Chill. Like, he has a farm back home, and like on the off season, he just goes and chills and with animals and just chills there. Like, very European of you, Jokic. Very European of you.
And maybe that's where I just need to sit with it. Just like, you know what? I can be comfortable with either of these teams winning. Oh, yeah. They're both very good teams. Oh, yeah. Very good players.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they're pulling rank on me. Because they have Jokic as the European player. I don't know.
maybe that's where we need to be. Because like I say all the time that sometimes you can just enjoy sports, just enjoy it. It doesn't have to be about who wins and who loses.
Oh yeah.
Just
if my team isn't playing, I like watching just to watch, and I just want like a close game and like a fun game, like be an athlete.
Will it be a close game? Will it be a fun game?
Oh yeah. Tonight's gonna be good.
Martin says that Tyler Hero is playing.
Nice.
So that should be interesting. Nice. Normally he adds an extra 20 points per game, but we really don't know what he's going to experience. They said, okay, so he had a broken hand. That's why he's been out. They said he's experienced some swelling, and we have that same situation right now. Right. We don't even use our hands in our sport. And just from like skating and moving around, she had issues with her hand and ended up gearing down during a practice. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. All right, we should move on from that topic because we clearly have nothing to say. I'm like, please don't let this be the worst episode we've ever done.
It's great.
Okay. Well, I feel like most people who are still watching us at this point just want to hear us talk about Moriah Mills. So
we're just gonna jump into it like that.
Not right now.
No segue. Right now. Oh, okay. All right. I'm like, that was a nice non-segue at all. That was great.
Not yet. I'm just letting everybody know that we are gonna get to
It's coming, y'all. You just hold on. It's coming. We got opinions.
But I do at least want to touch on the WNBA stuff because, like, for the past couple weeks when we intended to talk about them, we didn't. Mm-hmm. So I got to see the Wings live, and I must say, Enrique is a fucking force.
Yeah,
like the angles that they use to like air the game on TV just don't do these athletes justice.
Yeah,
and especially her, because I've heard about people being like so just enamored with her style of play and impressed and just feeling like she's one of the best. Whenever she was going to the Wings, everybody was so excited, like, oh, we get Enrique. But then like seeing it, like, especially whenever you can see the 9 other people on the court and you see her amidst them and you just see like the difference in the energy and the intensity and the aggressiveness, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because they said hopefully she gets some help. I actually do think she has some help. I think is it Satu? Sabally. I think she's a big help. Because their first game against the Mercury on Wednesday, Satu really showed up, nice. And that was actually a night where she showed up in bigger ways statistically than Enrique did, So I would say she has some help now, and I think honestly that's why they did so well against the Mercury. On the flip side, the Mercury really did not look like themselves, in my opinion. And it could be that it was just like my first time really paying attention to them since BG came back.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to pay more attention to like the closer teams, and then also because of how the WNBA broadcasts or does not broadcast some games. There are some games that I wanted to see that I literally just couldn't because they weren't available here.
Yeah.
But I expected more intensity and more aggressiveness. Now, I talked to somebody on Twitter about this, and they said that, the Mercury don't lack aggression right now. They said that the issue is that they don't have Skylar Diggins-Smith, and so they're lacking in cohesiveness, and they're also having trouble finishing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll pay more attention to those things. But
And also, BG coming back too. Like, she didn't play last season.
Yeah.
Like, it's it's an adjustment, I'm sure.
That is for sure. And they're still doing a lot of the bullshit where it feels like everything that she does with intensity is a foul. And I'm just like,
just because she's tall, bro, you'll need to stop that
she's
shit.
6'9". She's a big woman. Yeah,
You need to let them fucking
and
play.
it's frustrating because I feel like every time they start making ticky-tack calls like that, like, you're just hurting the game because those things are exciting.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're just saying, like, oh, you blocked that ball too hard, we're gonna blow this whistle. And I'm just like, no, that does nothing for the game. That does nothing for the game.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I think the Wings are a lot better than people have given them credit for up to this point. And I think the Mercury might not be as good. So, like, this person, okay, they had a point with the Mercury missing SDS, right? Okay, she hasn't been there. That, of course, will make a big difference. But at the same time, there's certain things that I'm used to seeing that I just wasn't seeing.
Yeah.
So, like, Sophie Cunningham talking shit, didn't see none of that. Even when they had the lead, even when the game was close,
she talks a lot of shit.
She wasn't talking to nobody. And as a matter of fact, they weren't talking to each other. There was a period of time where Sophie, Tarazi, and BG were all on the court, and it just did not seem like they were communicating.
That's wild.
And I'm like, I don't know if they were that defeated, like if they had that much trouble matching the energy of the Wings, and they were just like, it just took it out of them, or what? Because there were two players on the Mercury who actually did bring the intensity, and I was actually impressed because, like, they were players I wasn't even familiar with. I didn't even know their name. One was number 1 and the other was number 10. I can tell you that. And I was like, okay, we got a couple people stepping up.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the refs that game. I will say I thought they called way too many fouls. There was definitely a period of the game where I was like, can we have one possession without y'all blowing the whistle? Like, damn, it really got annoying after a while. It just felt like every little thing, and there was just so many disruptions in the flow.
That will fuck up the game.
Yes. So I don't know what's gonna change with the Mercury, if anything is gonna change.
Do you think they might have like an internal problem?
I hate to say that without knowing any details that would suggest that, but
this is just a speculation. This is
but yeah, it could be that way. It could be that the coach that they currently have, the culture that's being cultivated just doesn't lend itself to their personality styles. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah. Because that happens a lot of the times when teams are like all of a sudden not performing as they usually do. The vast majority of the times there's like an internal problem, being a coach or anything in the staff, or a player not getting along with somebody else, and that spreads and like whatever. But most of the time it's an internal problem.
Yeah. But as far as the Wings,
I
feel like with a little bit more time to gel, because they've also had like a string of injuries. And so in the WNBA, they have a policy where you can bring new players in for what's called a hardship situation. And so they
is on tap.
Kind of, yeah.
Y'all don't know, but I understand that way. I know what you meant by that one.
And so they've had to bring in a couple of people because of that. And so I think given a little bit more time to adjust to whatever is happening with the team, I think they'll be all right. But yeah, if you ever have an opportunity to watch the Wings play and Enrique is going to be suiting up that night, you absolutely should watch them live.
Yeah.
Because this was a sight to behold. I mean, she's an absolute terror. Like, when I say it looked like people were moving in slow motion compared to Enrique, like legit. I was thoroughly
Could not
impressed.
catch up.
Yeah, not at all. All right.
What?
Nothing. I'm just really like, there's got to be something else we can talk about besides Moriah Mills.
Oh. Well, I mean, there's Messi.
Yes, it's messy. All right. Joking. This is why sometimes we do need show notes. I feel like usually I at least have a list of topics, and it's just like, yeah, go down this list.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Because I didn't prepare either. I forgot my laptop. I came so ready today.
Okay, so Moriah Mills it is. Okay.
Do you have some tweets or something pulled up?
Oh, I'm sure. When I posted on Twitter, I said that we might be discussing it. Um, I was like, yeah, should we talk about it? Should we not talk about it? And some people were like, yeah, talk about it. I want to hear what y'all have to say. And there were some people who are like, no, we're sick of it. Don't bring it up.
Yeah.
So I will compromise. I'm not going to go over every single detail that is related to that is related to the situation, but I do feel like there are a couple of things that need to be pointed out that I haven't really heard anybody talk about.
Let's do it.
So, without going into all the details, but just giving people who might be listening, watching, whatever, a little bit of background. One Mr. Zion Williams. Dang, I told y'all it's been a day.
Crushing this shit.
This might be the worst episode we've ever recorded.
No.
So one Mr. Zion Williamson, he took to social media to celebrate the fact that he's going to become a father. And he posted pictures with the mother of his child, and they were very excited. And not long after that, another woman that he's been involved with also took to social media. She might still be taking to social media. Actually, I need to see. I think one of the I don't follow her. I was like, I refuse to follow her, but I had saved one of her tweets, and I don't see it in my bookmarks anymore. So I'm wondering if she took that one down, because she definitely didn't take all of them down.
Well, I mean, she was going a little hard. I'm sure somebody was like, "Yo, you need to like chill a little bit."
Not just somebody, a lot of people.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
sure.
her last post was 2 hours ago, so she's still going.
Nice.
So it's been at least.
Martin says she'd be going crazy for real though.
She has.
She's losing it, dog.
And at first it was concerning, right? Because when it first happened, I think the news broke on like a Wednesday, maybe, and I didn't start paying attention to it till Thursday. So it might have broken on that Thursday. I don't really remember when it started. But when it first started, there were people who were like, oh, she's going through a mental health crisis, and, this is concerning, because some of the stuff that she posted was concerning. There was one tweet where she said, I'm ready to be deleted off this earth. And then she stopped tweeting for a while. And of course, people were still cracking jokes. And I was just like, she might be serious. But then she came back and kept going. And so after a while, it just kind of became like, okay, if she is going through a mental health crisis, either nobody cares or like she herself doesn't care. It's whatever.
Could it be a desperate call for attention?
It could be, not in the sense that
the attention that she didn't get because she's not the one that got pregnant.
That is one of the things that she's been tweeting a lot. It definitely, and
just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
And that's one of the things that gets to me. And that's the point I'm gonna make in a second. She had the gold mine of receipts.
Yes.
Martin. So I can tell Martin is all about this topic. Which it makes sense because it's right up his alley. Because if y'all don't know Martin Talk Cowboys, he always has the tea. Always. So I can totally see why he'd be like,
Martin,
yes, we are talking about Moriah Mills.
Pose the detective, Martin.
Okay, so I remember whenever it first became a thing for like high profile men to have women sign NDAs. And some people were like, well, why would you need them to sign an NDA if you're not doing anything wrong? If everything's above board, like, what is it that you're trying to keep a secret?
Yes.
And stuff like what Moriah Mills is posting, that's the kind of stuff that they want to keep secret, because it's not a situation where she's accused him of anything illegal or anything like that. But the details that she's revealing about this man, assuming that they're true, are very embarrassing.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know that Zion Williamson has a filthy bathroom. I didn't need to know that he spit in her mouth. I didn't need to know.
That's your kink. That's fine, but keep it in the bedroom, dog.
Right.
We don't really need to know. We don't really need to know, man.
I didn't need to know that he's like sleeping with all these women unprotected. Nobody needed to know that. I'm sure he didn't want people to know that. And either he didn't have her sign an NDA or she's very much in violation.
Or she didn't give a shit. It happens sometimes too. Like, your feelings are so heavy and like your emotions are so hard that it's just like, I gotta go raw on it and just like say it.
Oh, when you use the word raw, my mind
Your
went somewhere else.
emotions, your emotions. Well, clearly other things went raw too, but that's not what I meant.
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing is it's not evident that either of these women was actually like his steady partner or girlfriend. It really just seems like he was like messing with multiple women unprotected, and then one of them got pregnant, and he's like, okay, yay, I'm gonna be a dad, like whatever. Okay, so I guess happy
How old
Father's
is-
Day.
How old is this dude?
She is wolf. I don't even know what that means. Or she is crying wolf, maybe. Um, but yeah, so I guess happy future Father's Day to
Yeah.
Zion. But anyway,
How old
so
is this dude?
who?
This
Zion
yes.
must be pretty young.
He looks like he's 13, but he's obviously not 13.
Zion?
But
You said he looks like he's 13.
he looks really cute.
Why am I
He looks
pulling
like a
that up? I
kid.
could Google it here.
You know, like sometimes like to me, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but to me sometimes it's like time passes, but only for me. Everybody else stays young. Like I'm the only one that's getting old. And I know that's a weird concept, but
I don't think you're getting old at all. He's 22.
yeah, he's 13. That's what I said. It's pretty much around the
He's
same
13.
area. Like,
When it comes to dudes, sometimes, yeah. So, okay. So that's the first point. Anybody who's ever been like, why are they having women sign NDAs? Stuff like that. So every time I see Zion suit up for the Pelicans, I'm not thinking about the fact that he's smashing chicks raw and spitting in their mouth. That's not the visual I needed. And you know what else I was thinking? I'm just like, what's worse? What's worse? That or what Ja Morant did? Because at the end of the day, Ja Morant is basically being suspended, as far as what we know, just for flashing a gun a couple of times.
A really small gun.
Whereas this dude is out.
I'm just hoping that all these sexual adventures that he's having are consensual.
It sounds like that. Nobody has accused him of anything illegal, like I said. So there's that. He said my feed was Moriah Mills, Zion being weird, people wanting Zeke back. Yeah, Twitter was. That's something else that we should talk about after we're done talking about Moriah Mills.
Okay.
But so I can't even remember the second point I was gonna make. But
hashtag ADHD
for real. But okay. So once I got past the fact that she seemed to need help. Oh, the other thing that came up. So a while back, I was watching Ryan Clark's podcast, The Pivot, and he had a couple of the guys. I can't remember their names. Also hashtag ADHD, but they had been accused of sexual assault. But part of the reason that they were vindicated was because in their situation, they had the woman that they had slept with sign an NDA. And they also gathered some other evidence that showed that they were innocent of what they were being accused of. But Ryan Clark asked them what they learned from that situation. And one of the things they said was that they learned not to mess around with women who didn't have anything to lose. And I thought that was like really significant.
Yeah, that's a heavy statement right there.
Yeah,
that's heavy.
And it's something that I thought about when this popped up, and I actually started seeing that phrase pop up a little bit. And it's interesting because like any of my guy friends and my brothers, male cousins, anybody, if the topic ever comes up, I give them similar advice. And I'm always like, it doesn't even have to be material things, right?
Oh yeah,
because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not making 7 figures yet, but at the same time, I at least have enough on my plate to where I'm not going to do anything to sacrifice or jeopardize any of those situations, you know?
For sure.
And so what I posted on Twitter was like, okay, there are bad bitches with money and goals and businesses and a code of ethics too. Like you don't have to resort to people with questionable character to get your rocks off, which is what, like, this is what I consider this in this situation, especially at this point. And I'm not saying that I know her personally. I'm going strictly off of what I've seen from her on social media.
Right.
But I just feel like to handle the situation the way that she handled it, that makes me question your character, because it says to me several things about what she did and didn't do in her relationship with Zion. So here's one thing that I don't like. So one, I don't like the fact that clearly she wasn't on the same page with him,
Yeah,
right?
no shit.
She I feel like you can't just make assumptions about what a person owes you or what they should or shouldn't do for you and just assume, especially everything that she never said anything about caring for this man. She never said anything about being concerned
No, it's
for
all about
him
her.
or loving him or anything. She didn't even say anything good about him.
Mm-hmm.
Everything she said pointed to, I was hoping I would get pregnant for you because that should have been my payday. And now somebody else is getting it. And I think that's a really fucked up way to look at a human being. It just is.
Bro, you should not be a mother.
Hey,
Like, if you're just looking at your kid as a dollar sign, you should not be
well,
a
not
mother.
only the kid, but Zion. And not saying that
Well,
he's a saint in
yeah.
this situation.
Come
you're
on
you're
now.
like, fuck him.
Yeah,
It's
I
about
mean,
the
you're
kid.
fucking everybody else. Like, bro, you clearly don't care enough to be in a relationship with her or whatever, which is fine. I'm not, this is not judgmental. Like, bro, like, we've all been hoes. Like, listen, we've all been hoes. Kudos. It's a nice face. It's awesome. It's fun, but shit also happens. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just,
But on that note, like you said, we've all been hoes. We've all been there. We've all gone through that phase, lifestyle, or it might be your life, whatever. Okay.
Martin says they were in different dimensions.
But I guess the other thing that I didn't like is like, okay, things didn't go the way that you wanted them to go. So I feel like if your goal was to get paid, get pregnant for him, you could have shut the fuck up, texted him, and he probably still would have hit you up.
Yeah.
This is not how you handle your shit as a grown woman.
Yeah.
Like it was tasteless, it was classless. I shouldn't even say was. It is, you know?
It still is. Apparently, happened 2 hours ago. She's still tweeting about it.
And then just to go back and forth between you hurt me, you owe me this, you owe me that. And I saw one of her tweets. It said something like, oh, I know when y'all see me courtside at the Pelicans game cheering for Zion, y'all gonna get y'all's jokes off. And I'm just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Putting yourself in a position that people are just gonna like make fun of you like that? Like, but I think she lacks a little bit of self-respect.
A little bit?
I'm being generous.
I agree. You're being very generous. And that's another way I think you can measure when we talk about women who have something to lose. I think self-respect is something that you can use to measure that. And like, don't get me wrong, that was something else I didn't like about her. I feel like you can be a hoe and still have self-respect.
Hell yeah.
Because it's like,
I know I did.
Like, you can do your thing as far as who you sleep with, who you decide to commit to or to not commit to,
right.
Whatever.
You're in charge of your own shit.
Exactly. And that's where the respect comes from.
You know how you do it, and you know all that stuff.
You have your standards, you have your boundaries, you have your way of how you conduct and carry yourself.
That's right.
Right? But here's what I really didn't like. Anytime people made reference to the fact that she was a porn star, she tried to act like she's better than that now. Like, oh, I don't do that no more. Quit trying to. And I'm just like, how are you gonna be a porn star and then turn around and then act like you too good to be a porn star? Like, you're not about to sit here and be a porn star and then turn around when you're supposedly a musician now and then try to slut shame.
Nah, that's not how it works.
Talking about I only slept with 8 people the whole time I was doing porn and I had a boy. Nobody cares. Talking about I was trying to keep my body count low. Nobody cares.
Why? But why is that even? Why does that even?
Because I think it's a form of validation. I think there are some women in this world who, when they don't know where to get their own self-value from, they start resorting to stupid shit like body count to trick themselves into thinking that they have some sort of value, which, not saying that a person doesn't have value, but it shouldn't be based on your fucking body count. Yeah, it shouldn't be based on whether or not you don't do porn anymore. Like,
bro, but like, how can you do that? How? I understand that there's points in your life that you might not be proud of, and shit that you've done that you might not be proud of. I get that. I understand. I think all of us have some points in our life that we're not proud of. But bro, it's a job. I'm sure you banked on that shit. Like, bro, like, be happy for that. Like, exactly. I don't know. I'd be like, yes, bitch, I was a fucking porn star. I fucked that motherfucker, blah, and that would be me as a former porn star.
Do you remember that song by Kanye West that came out a long time ago? Work It Out. I'm gonna have to find the end of it, but like at
Okay.
the end, there were like several women who was like, "Now I got my bills paid," and that. Like I don't remember the exact words, but I just remember that being a thing at the end of the song.
Well,
Martin
I
said
mean, she
Mills
did
and the
not
other
get
girl
her.
checking each other had me in tears. I completely missed that.
Yeah,
So
I'm
if you have
sure.
any screenshots of that, feel free to send them my way. But yeah, I didn't like the fact that she did that. But so for a second, I was this close to feeling bad for her because she posted something that said, I have a name and it's not porn star. And so
Yeah.
that is a point where I do feel compassion for some women sometimes when their identity is reduced from who they are and what they actually do, and it gets reduced down to their relationship to some high profile dude. We saw that recently with a certain player that we both follow, and there were rumors that he was
Yes.
dating this girl.
Yes.
And to this day, I can't remember that girl's name because after a while,
Yes.
her name became so and so's reported girlfriend.
Yes. Oh fuck! I
And
fucking hate that shit when they do that.
and that was it. Every headline
Mm.
was like, and they would find any reason to write about her because this person is so popular, right? And so it was like
Obviously.
so and so's reported girlfriend posts racy photos on Instagram, you know. And so when it turned out, when her name went from being Moriah Mills to this is the porn star who's dragging Zion on Twitter, it's like, oh, you lost your identity. That's so sad.
Mm.
But because they
It's-
said
but
be a
it's-
respectful hoe. Yes.
Thank you.
Like you can be a hoe and still have respect for other people. You can still have respect for yourself. You can still
Yeah.
be considerate. You can still have a
Yes.
moral code.
Yes.
You can still have boundaries and standards. Like
Bro, being a hoe ain't just like going out and fucking anything that has a dick between their legs, or
it's
or
really
a
not
coochie, whatever whatever
anything.
floats your boat. Oh, both,
Or
both. Hey, hands or both, whatever floats your boat. But that doesn't mean. Anyways, I don't know.
Anyway.
That's just weird to me.
But here's the ultimate point that I wanted to make about
Alright.
Moriah Mills. I feel like people romanticize the idea of dating professional athletes way too much.
You don't fucking say.
They act like and it's not just her. I say this because this is something that I see come up a lot in
This is like some women's goal in life.
in
Like-
Instagram model culture. It happens in like just female rappers in their music. Just the way people talk about these athletes like they're goddamn Prince Charmings, and it's just gonna be happily ever after. I got it made. It's
got it wrong,
fucking
bitch.
ridiculous.
You got it wrong, bitch.
So I will say this: number one, if you are depending on another person to give you the life that you want, especially in America, you are going about things the wrong way. And I don't mean just dating. I mean in any situation. Like anytime, I'll put it this way. I even looked into Forex trading recently because it seemed like something that I could do. I'm studying it a little bit. It seems like one of those things that will take time to learn, right? But I was watching a video from this woman who got into Forex trading, and she's been doing it for a while. And so she was taking questions from viewers. And one of the things that she mentioned was that you have to treat it like a business. And she said, because you can kind of take your money, put it into an account and go in and start trading and kind of hoping for the best. And some people hit it big. She said some people treat it like gambling or like a lottery ticket, like they just jump into it and hope that they'll get big returns. Yeah. And she said, if you're expecting this to instantly change your life, you're going to put yourself at risk for big losses.
Yeah,
She's like, you've got to be smart about this. You've got to treat it like a business. This isn't something that you can just put your entire savings in and quadruple it and you're just going to be good.
Yeah.
You know, because you can put your entire savings in, lose it, and then some, and then be doing really bad. And I just feel like when it comes to this idea of dating ballers or celebrities or rich dudes, a lot of times that's what it is. There are people in this world, and I won't even say women who look at men that way. I'll say people who look at people, because believe me, I will bet money there are people in Angel Reese's DMs who are banking on her for similar reasons. But there are people who look at these people who have status and have money, and they look at them, it's like, that's my ticket out of this life. That's my ticket into the lifestyle that I want. And that is bullshit. One, because those are human beings. It's fucked up to use people.
Yeah.
And two, anytime you are looking into transforming your life, like you never know what that person's motives are, what their lifestyle is like, or what could go right or what could go wrong with that person. You should have a plan for getting there on your own. It is my genuine belief that if you have a certain lifestyle in mind for yourself and you actually start working on becoming the kind of person who deserves that lifestyle, the people who are supposed to be in your life will be there, and the things that you're supposed to have in your life, you'll find a way to get them.
I agree.
I think sometimes we think about so many things that have a certain cost associated with them, or we think about things, people being outside of our social circle, and we're just like, how could we ever? And I'm just like, if you just start walking down the path, you just never know. You never know.
Yeah.
But I think whenever you get to the point where you start like using people, you're just setting yourself up for a bad situation. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to have everything taken away from you because it technically don't belong to you. It belongs to somebody else whose life you were living in, and you haven't really done anything to attain these things for yourself.
On your own. I agree.
Because it's like, you got to think, for the most part, let's bring it back to wealthy men and women who are trying to attain these wealthy men, right? If they really are looking for a life partner, they're probably going to be looking for a partner with a certain set of characteristics, a certain type of person. So first things first, you got to look at yourself and say, like, am I that type of person? If I were a millionaire, if I were a person who owns several businesses, if I were a person with a lot at stake and a lot to lose, would I fuck with me? And I think there are a lot of people who don't ask themselves that question, and they're not honest with. No, because like, think about it. Think about everything Moriah Mills tweeted. Did she ever say anything about like, look what I did for you? Almost every tweet was, I know you love this pussy. And it's like, the woman he got pregnant has a pussy too.
And he probably loved it too.
And yeah, clearly he did. And for all we know, there might be other women out there whose pussy he also liked, who just are sitting back watching this like, damn, she is fucking up.
Yeah. You went too hard, dog. I'm sorry. Like, you just went a little, for my taste, you just went a little too hard. And you were just like going too hard about you. Like, you didn't really care about him or his situation or these other pregnant women. You didn't care about any of that. Like, you were just like, dollar signs everywhere, and those dollar signs should belong to me.
She tweeted like a person who her entire future depended on Zion getting her pregnant first. And then when it seemed like that was taken away from her, it almost seemed like she just had no hope for her future left. No. And that is fucking sad.
That is sad.
And the other thing that I'll say about that is, if you do decide that you want somebody to be your lottery ticket and you're expecting, if I fuck this person, I'm going to get this amount of money in exchange, there's a different name for that. And I suggest you set your rate up front. Yes. If that is your goal, you'll need to negotiate the terms and set your rate up front. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Dom said, she's a porn star. What do y'all expect?
Well, you know, I don't know a lot of porn stars, or any, really. I don't know. But I do know people that have had OnlyFans. I myself had one too. And it's a fucking job. Like, to have an OnlyFans and to do that shit, like, it is a fucking job. Regardless of how much you get paid, or regardless of whatever you do, it is a job. Like, and honestly, on OnlyFans, if you're not in like the top 10%,
you're not making that.
You're not doing shit, dog.
And honestly, that's the case with just about any kind of sex work. I've found myself in situations twice in my life where I worked at a strip club. So I know several porn stars. I know people who've done all kinds of sex work, from selling their panties to doing sugar daddy work, to doing full service sex work, to doing limited sex work, OnlyFans, stripping, whatever. And a lot of these women, they're entrepreneurs, they're decent people. So whenever
they're people.
Whenever I'm judging her, I don't look at it as she's a porn star. What do y'all expect? Because I know a lot of porn stars who would have never pulled this shit that she pulled.
Yeah.
They would have seen themselves as being above it. They would have seen it as very inappropriate. And if there was something to be handled between them and Zion, they would have kept it between them and Zion. Most of the women I know, that's how they operate. And maybe it's because I generally don't fuck with people who do stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know,
did the other woman just come out and said like she was pregnant? Did she just like post it, or did Zion post it?
No, they have like photos together.
But did she like posted that? How do we know how Moriah found out?
No, like Zion. I don't remember if Zion posted it, but these were pictures that he like posed for. Like, they were like maternity photos. Like, Look at me and the mother of my
Okay.
child. Like,
All
look at
right.
us. Like, yeah.
Bro, then why you fucking I don't know, man. That's just getting in some mud and so messy for no reason.
I mean, Dom,
Mm-mm.
I get what you're saying, but like the fact that she's a full blown hardcore porn star, like I don't think that makes a difference. I don't think that should change any expectations for her to not be the way she is.
Yeah, it's a job, regardless of how hard she goes or she does it. Like it's
Like
still a job.
I've met people who've done porn. None of them are my close friends, but like the conversations that I've had with them suggest that they would find this inappropriate. And so
Yeah,
that's what I'm basing this on. Just women I know from all walks of life and what we consider to be appropriate handling a situation like this. I think
yeah.
I think she was out of line. I don't think her being a porn star is a reason to be like, "Oh, well, of course." Like I'm not going to say like nobody should fuck with porn stars anymore cuz this is what they do cuz it's not. It's not. It's
I
what she did.
wonder, I wonder, I wonder how this would have like played out if it was the other way around. If it was him a porn star instead of her.
I think people would have very different
I
opinions.
100%. I know. That's why I'm saying it because he was like, "Yeah, look at my dick." Classic porn star, and like it would have been all just fine. It would have been like, "Ooh, yeah, look at that dick, bro. Look at that dick," and it would have been like all great and funny jokes and shit. But it's a woman and she lost it, and now she has mental health issues, which she probably does. Like I think what 90% of the world does in general.
Yeah, hers are just
But
manifesting in a different way. But anyway, getting back on the topic of romanticizing dating celebrities, I think it's just important to realize like dudes with money, celebrities, athletes, whatever, they have just as much of a propensity to be a liar, a cheater, an asshole,
yeah,
whatever, as anybody else. And in some cases, it's worse because you got to think, especially when it comes to athletes, a lot of times these dudes are young and they're not used to the amount of money and attention that comes along with being a star athlete and they don't handle it well.
what they don't even they've never been in a situation like that. They're kids. Like they're literally like early 20s, late teens. Like what are you doing? You haven't been on earth long enough to even have big problems.
Yeah. And I guess that's a good point. I guess all this stuff is easy for me to say having had like experience with like different types of men and just kind of learning like yo,
Yeah.
like there's some things that you can go through that no amount of income is going to justify for you.
Yeah.
That no
I
promise
agree.
from that dude. Like I
I
posted on
agree.
Twitter recently that like, in my former life, I was in an abusive relationship. That dude had a nice car,
Mm-hmm.
suggested that he never officially proposed and like, but he made it clear in various ways that he was interested in us being married and having a family and was very upset when I decided to leave. And
Good for you though.
on the surface,
You
materialistically,
did it.
I was in a solid situation, but I was not
But that
about.
does that's not gonna that's not that does not make you happy, bro. Like
No,
all the
I was
emotional
miserable.
abuse and all that shit really cancels out the fucking
Dom
material
said a
shit.
male porn star and a WNBA player. That shit would be
That
hilarious.
would be hilarious. Oh my god, that would.
And it's hard to imagine
I
because
hope it
like
happens. Let's speak. Oh, everybody is speaking into existence.
don't I don't want that to happen to nobody.
Why
Being
not?
22 and up 200 million with trained assassins after you could be pretty interesting trying to navigate. Trained assassins? What? Hold on, that just threw a wrench in everything. I'm confused by that part. Who had trained assassins after them? Or is that a euphemism for something else?
Maybe he has like friends. Maybe the train assassins, because I could be a train assassin for you.
I took this course online about how to be an assassin. Trained assassins. Okay.
Well, we'll get back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, a euphemism for women. Dom,
Oh,
I'm really concerned about your
oh,
perception for women. It sounds perception of women, and I should say. It sounds like maybe you've been through some things.
trained assassins.
And
I don't.
I'm really sorry that that's been your experience with women and or porn stars.
Slash.
But if a woman has ever done anything to you or any of your homeboys that makes you view some of them as trained assassins, I am very sorry.
Yeah, me too. You should hang with a different crowd.
Yeah, yeah. Hang
At
with a
least some
different crowd.
women. And I say that as a woman. So
So yeah, that's honestly the main thing that I want people to gather from that. Now, I don't know how many people it'll help because I looked at our YouTube statistics and apparently our audience is now 100% men.
Yay! Look at my dick.
You know I'm gonna clip that.
And I ain't even a porn star.
I'm dying.
Oh, it's hot here.
Now I know we've had some women subscribe. Shout out to the people who helped us get over 200
Yes.
subscribers today.
And tell your friends, even
Yes.
if they're all men, doesn't matter. Tell them, subscribe. It's fun content.
I'm mad. We've got Dom calling women trained assassins. We've got you when your impersonation of men apparently is look at my dick.
I mean,
this is just all around horrible.
ain't nobody in the comments told me that I'm wrong. So.
It has nothing to do with sports. I knew we shouldn't have covered this topic.
We totally should cover this topic.
When
you texted me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is right up our alley. Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, here we are.
But yeah, so last time I checked, our YouTube audience at least was 100% men. So shout out to the guys who were the first to subscribe to us and watch us.
Yes.
But I do know that we've had some women subscribe today, so thank
y'all. You. Break the algorithm.
And so if you actually watch our videos, it'll change those percentages a bit, but still. That means our audience is still mostly men. So I don't know how many people this information will help. Yes, I'm definitely.
Thanks.
But yeah, that's mainly the main thing that I want us to think about. It's just like our self-worth, our self-value, and like, is it worth betting that on somebody else?
No,
like,
hell no.
Because I mean, for me, I do have an idea of the type of future that I'd like to live, and I'm not about to put that in the hands of nobody else, especially not a dude that I'm just smashing.
Hell no. Hell no. If you were to tell me like, oh, I'm kicking it with this dude, we're doing this, and then you'd be like, oh, by the way, I'm just gonna like, and then just talk about his money and whatever you want to do with his money, I'd be like, bitch.
I feel like down. You know how they be posting stuff and they be like, what would you say to somebody to let them know that you're in trouble without saying you're in trouble? I feel like if I called you and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm about to quit the podcast and everything because I met this millionaire, you'd be like, okay, where are you? Can you tell me where you are?
Yeah, send me your location. Send me your location. Text me when you leave. How long have you been there? Is that you? Is that a bot? Did he take your phone?
He said, LMAO, I met women like Brittany Renner, who did have a whole class telling dudes to stay away from women like her. So we can't be mad at that. Bernice Burgos, I don't really know who that is. Those huge IG model type women that have millions of followers, LOL, those are trained assassins.
Oh, I see. But also to be fair, a lot of those millions, they're not real people either. Just so you know.
I don't know nothing about that.
Oh well,
I've never been in that position
to get there. I've seen. I just watch a lot of documentaries. I probably shouldn't be watching, but there's like the vast majority of the influencers on Instagram started buying all of their followers, and then they were like, oh, so how do you get so many followers but nobody comments on your shit? And they were like, oh, ding 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 ding, let's make more money, and now we can buy comments, and people just like. And that's how the Instagram.
I actually learned that during the pandemic, whenever we were told we couldn't operate our gym and we started to have to get virtual clients and we were like looking at ways to like advertise and build our following and things like that. That was when I learned that was a thing because I started reaching out to people and being like, hey, do you have any tips on getting followers? And a few people sent me links like, oh, you can go here to buy 50,000 followers every quarter. You can pay this much and get, this. And I'm just like,
yeah.
And then I started exactly what you said. I started looking at their following compared to their engagement. And that's when I started seeing it.
Yeah.
Because some of them, they would even have a lot of likes, but the comments dead.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. Like you can buy the likes, you can buy the followers, you can buy the comments. And like it's sometimes if you go to influencers that have been like big, I guess, for a minute. But if you go back to their first pose when they started getting big, that's just funny. I recommend if you have a minute. It's funny.
All right.
I'm a trained detective. Assassins will be found and put
But
in
yeah,
jail.
know your worth. Martin is so silly. I need to figure out how old is Martin and what he does for a living. This
Yeah,
dude
Martin,
is.
what are you doing?
Do you remember? I don't even know if you were in America at this time. I don't remember the name of the movie. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay,
I was
well,
about to make a
explain it.
reference. It's this movie that I think of sometimes when I imagine who Martin is.
Oh, okay. This is gonna be
But
fun.
it was one of those movies that came out like in the 90s, and it was like a rich kid with like a bunch of computers, like in a big ass house, and all they did was just like watch people on computers all day because they're a rich kid and they didn't have no other responsibilities.
No, but that sounds like a very American
I'm
movie.
that sounds like a very American movie. I'm gonna figure out which one specifically I'm thinking of, and I'm gonna send it to you. And I'm glad Martin finds that funny. Anyway, know your worth. Don't bet your future on a professional athlete.
No, like honestly, like listen, like now, and now I'm learning all that too because my sister is also dating a professional soccer player, which thankfully he is the sweetest dude. He's so sweet, he's so nice, he treat her so well. But not everybody is like that. But I keep telling her, like, it doesn't matter how much money he makes or where he goes or if he wants to go to play in La Liga in Spain, sure, whatever. It's not like it's the best league in the world, but whatever. But you still need to go and do your exams and do your test and get your degree and do your shit because you don't know what's gonna happen later. Like, yeah, this is great now and you're super in love and it's so pretty. It's kind of gross sometimes. I love you though, but you still need your own shit in case shit happens. You need a way out,
or even just to have something that you can say is
it's yours.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there are so many different things that can happen with a relationship in life that just in general, it's bad to bet your entire future on a person. Now, that doesn't mean don't plan a future with the person, but just as part of that plan, you also want to plan for in case things don't go well.
But that's the thing. If that couple like is like very supportive of each other, this other person would tell her like, no, go and do it. Like,
Exactly.
I support you doing this shit. What do you want to do? You want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a doctor? You want to be a teacher? You want to be on OnlyFans? I'll take your pictures. Like, and whatever also, it is that you want to do, but like that person should be supportive of that shit.
And the same way these young guys have been given the advice of like, okay, you should only mess with women who have something to lose. I think most men who are actually looking to be in a genuine relationship, they're not just looking for a piece of eye candy to have on their arm and pop out their babies. They like actually are looking for somebody who's going to be a good partner.
Right.
They want you to keep adding value to your life and to keep growing and learning.
Right. Don't be the side piece forever.
Yeah. I feel like that would never be an issue with somebody who like actually cares about you, especially if it's something that you want to do.
Right.
Now, there are some women who they want to be housewives. And so I don't want it to sound like I'm downing them at all.
Oh, no.
But like I said, it comes down to what you want to do. I think if you're with somebody and it's like really your goal to be a housewife, they're going to do what they can to help you be the best housewife that you can be. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be an attorney, you want to be a politician, whatever, they're going to support you in that as well. Exactly. It all comes down to what do I see my future being?
Exactly.
And what steps do I need to take in order to not just build that future, but to secure it?
Yeah. Yeah. And like when I said like doctor or teacher, OnlyFans, whatever, like, yeah, like if you want to be a trophy wife, hey.
Dom said, but if you're planning for if things don't go well, are you truly all in on the relationship? Dom, let me ask you this. If I get in my car and I put the seatbelt on, does that mean I'm planning to crash? No, but I know it's something that can happen. So I'm setting myself up for safety.
Yes. No.
In case something happens,
No, I agree with you. I think regardless of, just because you're planning, it's not a plan. It's not like a plan B, right? It's not like, oh well, I'm just doing this just in case she doesn't go the way that I plan. Like, no, that's not the deal. Like, I want to do this thing, and like my partner is gonna be supportive of whatever it is. It's not a just in case. It's a it's a cohesiveness within the relationship. Like you
Yeah.
both should be doing that for each other, not just one for the other. Like both of y'all should be on the same page on that shit.
Right. So what I would consider planning for things to not go well in a way that means you're not all in would be like if I'm saying like, okay, I'm gonna date this dude for this many years, but while I'm dating him, I'm gonna start this business, and once the business gets this amount of revenue, I'm gonna leave him. That means
That's
I'm not all
different.
in the
Yes,
relationship.
yes. That's fucked up,
But if I
honestly. Because then
am
you're just using this dude or this woman or this person or this partner. You're just using them for this period of time to be there for you and be supportive until you don't need them anymore. That's fucked up. Don't do that.
right.
That's fucked up.
But if I am, for example, like I'm a personal trainer, if I were to date someone who was wealthy and they wanted me to just stop training, stop playing roller derby, stop doing anything that brings me fulfillment, one, I would see that as a red flag.
Hell yeah.
And
Hell
two,
yeah.
let's say that they were doing something where there was a risk of loss of income. So, like for athletes, we all know there's that risk of injury. And there's
Mm-hmm.
some sports where money is guaranteed and some sports when it's not. Contracts
Mm-hmm.
can be weird. For actors, the
Yeah.
writer's strike, for example, just threw a wrench in people's schedule in terms of production and things of that nature. So things can always, just go wrong. So maybe there are certain things that I want to do to ensure financial security, whether it's having a savings, having my own business on the side, so on and so forth. Or maybe I just don't feel comfortable like being completely dependent. That doesn't mean I'm not all in on the relationship. That just means my character says that, hey, I like having a job. I
Mm-hmm.
like getting fulfillment from helping other people. I don't want to cut off that part of myself just because I'm in a relationship,
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I feel like I can keep that part of myself alive and keep making money, even though I still plan on being in this relationship, possibly forever,
Yeah.
but I just don't want to change who I am. I don't want to imagine a future where I become this whole different person who
Yeah.
all I do is like sit around the house and spend somebody else's money.
I mean, listen, if Flint were to tell me like, listen, babe, we got this amount of meals in the bag, you can just stay home. We're gonna build this venue for roller derby. You can just play and travel. I'd be like, yes, babe, whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I mean, it just so happens that derby doesn't make money. But if it did,
It's
you
just
would
like
be a paid
just
athlete
I would
dating a wealthy rapper.
oh man.
Wouldn't it be
That's
nice?
the dream. That is the dream. Yeah.
So yes, you can be all in a relationship but still plan to, and maybe that's a better way of phrasing it. Instead of saying planning in case things go wrong, like you can still plan on developing the future that you always saw for yourself. I even look at like Chef Hoppy and his girl. I told him one time, I was like, y'all are the most underrated power couple. Like they don't even see it yet. But clearly they're doing well, but they both have their
Their
separate
own shit.
endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not speaking for her. I don't know if she plans to quit once he gets to a certain level, or
But that's
they're
on them too. If they talked about
yeah.
it and that's their plan, then that's their plan.
But I'm just saying, like right now, the optics of it look very good. Like
Yeah.
nothing about that looks weird about the fact that like they both have their endeavors that they're both working on. Like it looks cool as hell. And like I
Yeah.
said, power couple. There are some people who even want that, and that's what their goal is. And I'm like, more power to them.
Yeah.
So there are all sorts of reasons that a person might still pursue their goals and their dreams and their entrepreneurial desires, even if their partner starts doing really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just hope one day we have dreams too in my household. We have dreams.
I also have dreams.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I don't know, like for me personally, like with Flint, like we do talk about like if slash when we reach this point and we get this amount of money, like what are we gonna do? And we have so many plans, not for us, but
Things you
to
want to invest in?
yeah, and in other people and help other people. And because this country is so fucked up in so many levels, I still get culture shocked. Bro, did you know this completely off topic? Hashtag ADHD. Did you there was I thought maybe I told you. I'm sorry if I did. There's a kid, a kid playing juniors derby with a fucking ankle monitor. I didn't know that if you were under 18 in this country, you could get like house arrest or some shit.
How old are they?
Well, I'm assuming under 18 if they're playing junior derby.
Yeah, because I'm like, you can be like 16, 17 and be charged as an adult. That's why I
That
asked.
is also wild to me. Yes.
Is it?
I've yes. Bro. So okay, so let me tell you this. So there was this crime happened in Spain, right? This chick disappeared, never found her body. These 3 kids were charged. Two of them were over 18, one was under 18 when the crime happened. The trial happened, the kid had already turned 18, but because the crime happened when he was under 18, he was charged and tried as a kid that was under 18.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's considerate, I guess.
That is
treating
a
what's
human
funny?
being as a human being.
You know what's funny about this exchange? You hear the story about the kid playing junior derby with an ankle monitor, and you're like, I cannot believe children in this country can get house arrest. And I'm sitting here listening to this story, and I'm like, I didn't know you could play derby with an ankle monitor.
Yeah.
How is this happening?
Oh, the two worlds. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's
it's like, so if you get house arrest, you can still play roller derby. What?
I mean, I guess there's different kinds of house arrest. I don't know because I didn't even know that was a thing either. There was a lot of things that I didn't know that happened here, like a breathalyzer in the car. Never seen that before. An ankle monitor. Never seen that before. Being in jail waiting for trial for years. Bro, in Spain, 72 hours. You can be in jail for 72 hours and then you can go home.
I think that's how it's supposed to be. Like, there is this whole thing in the Constitution.
Yeah, but also we have like
about
20%
a speedy
of
trial,
the population in jail.
But they didn't really define what a speedy trial was. So here we are.
Because we the people decided.
Dom said, "Gotta check in with the PO." I guess.
I guess so.
That would be hilarious. Be like, can I get a free ticket for my probation officer to come to the game? I told them that's where I would be. And they're not going to want to pay to get
pictures and video. I promise. I'm going to have the receipts. I promise.
I feel like there was something sports related we were supposed to talk about.
I don't know. We can talk about Brittany Griner.
Has the game started yet?
It's about to.
It starts at 7:30, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. 7:30.
You said the Brittany Griner thing?
Yeah, at the airport. If you want to touch on that.
I mean, we can. I don't really know what she or the team was harassed for. Some people make it sound like, okay, so that was a really bad transition, y'all. Oh my God. Vach is gonna yell at me. He actually probably won't.
He cool. He loves us.
So over the weekend, Brittany Griner and the Phoenix Mercury were harassed in the Dallas airport by what's been described as a YouTuber or a content creating sensationalist, something to that legacy. Damn, I cannot talk today.
You're doing great.
Where did that word come from?
I don't know.
Something along those lines. Whatever. So it's not clear what exactly they were harassed about. There was a video of this person yelling at Brittany Griner. A couple of people from the team posted on social media saying that they felt unsafe.
Yeah.
And it's turned into a discussion about chartered flights for the WNBA. Dom said, LMAO, nice segue. Thanks. Crushing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it turned into a conversation about charter flights and the WNBA. And so a couple of things have come out since then. So one, the WNBA released a statement that said they had approved for Brittany Griner to have chartered flights and for her to have personal security. So one thing but what they didn't say was who's covering the cost of that. Because, for several games during the season, that could become expensive. And we know WNBA players don't get paid a ton of money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then also there's the idea of like, okay, what does that do to team cohesion? Like, what if she wants to be with her teammates? What if she wants to travel with her teammates?
Would it be cheaper to like hire security? Which I don't even know why I'm saying that, but.
Well, that's the thing. They said she could have security, but I'm just like, who's paying for it? But I guess that would be cheaper than I just thought the response from the WNBA lacked empathy and wasn't responding to the right concerns.
Yeah. And I was talking with Flynn about this on the way here, and he said to Google it, but for what I understood, it was this dude kind of, being a white American dude. Sorry about the few of y'all that are nice. But like he was kind of yelling at her.
Oh, here we go. ESPN got the police report.
But lay it on, baby.
From ESPN posted at 4:11 p.m. Central Time, so just over 3 hours ago. Alexa Philippou writes, a YouTube personality tried to push his way through Phoenix Mercury security personnel, so they pushed themselves through the security personnel,
Nice.
to get to Brittany Griner while she and the team were at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport on Saturday morning, according to a police report obtained by ESPN on Monday. Alex Stein, whom the WNBA described as a provocateur, approached Griner while team members were walking on a concourse to catch a flight to Indiana for a Sunday tip-off following 2 games against the Dallas Wings. A Mercury security representative stayed between Griner and the man, but Stein pushed the security personnel, according to the police report. The guard then pushed Stein against a wall on the concourse, and Griner waited behind a gate area until officers arrived. Officers were dispatched at approximately 9:38 a.m. The security guard told officers that Stein, quote, seemed aggressive and made some inappropriate comments to Griner, the report stated. While the passenger never got physical with Griner, the Mercury security guard told officers the man was physical with him, but that he did not want to press charges. Griner, one of the league's biggest stars, literally, she's 6'9". That's not in the report. I just added that. Spent most of 2022 in Russian custody after officials said they found vape canisters with cannabis oil in her luggage. She was sentenced to a 9-year prison term, but was freed on December through a prisoner exchange negotiated between the United States and Russia. WNBA teams typically travel commercially with few exceptions for road games, although the league and the Mercury worked in the offseason to develop alternative arrangements where possible for Griner because of her high-profile case. According to a video posted by Mercury teammate Shea Petty earlier this year, Griner and teammates appear to have traveled via JSX, a semi-private airline, to their season opening game in Los Angeles. After officers were called to the scene on Saturday, an American Airlines manager tried to find an area for the Mercury to congregate until their flight. A nearby Admirals Club representative said the team could enter if it purchased a day pass. Damn, they were going to make them pay. But once the team was escorted to the lounge, the Mercury were told they did not have enough room for the team, the report stated. The Mercury were eventually escorted to a customer experience office to wait until they boarded their flight. The team was then escorted to its gate by officers around 10:20 a.m. and immediately boarded without any other issues, according to the report.
Well, what I what I understood was like this dude was mad that because I don't know if I remember this correctly, there was another prisoner in Russia that was in the military. He was like a Navy or a Marine or something, and there was going to be an exchange with this dude. But instead of being this military guy, was Brittany Griner, and this dude was mad because they didn't do the exchange with the military person, and it was instead with Brittany Griner. So this dude at the airport was mad at her for.
I mean, a lot of that has to do with Russia, though.
A lot of that has to do with the fucking politics that you have no fucking clue about, dog.
Right.
Period. Like.
Either way, it's turned into a discussion about charter flights, which seems to be an ongoing issue. Before, a lot of it had to do with the size of some of these WNBA players and the fact that it's just uncomfortable to sit on a commercial flight and then have to go and play a high intensity sport.
Bruh. You're gonna
a few hours later.
In the sea,
and then a lot of it just has to do with expectations of how professional athletes are supposed to be treated, which I will say this. There are a lot of people in this country who play their sport at a high level who don't get charter flights.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's why it's hard for me to be like, they should have charter flights because and I'm not even talking about
more money
like normally it's about roller derby, right? I'm like, when I talk about people playing at a high level, I'm talking about the experience of roller derby athletes, and there's almost no money in our sport. If we want a charter flight, we're going to have to pay for it. Yeah. But I also know people who do things like rowing, things like weightlifting, things like gymnastics before they get sponsored, track and field before they get sponsored, so on and so forth, who were out here winning medals, competing worldwide, speed skaters. And they have to invest a lot into their sport. So I'm not going to sit here and say that a professional athlete is owed charter flights just because they're a professional athlete. But one person did make the point that WNBA players are becoming more high profile, and they do deal with a level of misogyny and queerphobia that male athletes have never had to deal with. So on one hand, it's kind of like, well, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, all of those organizations, there was a time where they couldn't provide chartered flights for their athletes either. And yes, that was a long time ago when like
Social
flying was
media,
damn near
yeah.
new anyway.
Yeah. And social media wasn't a thing. It didn't
You know,
exist.
but just the amount of hatred that you can garner just for being a non-feminine woman.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to be gay. You don't have to be trans. You can just be a woman who is not feminine.
Yeah.
And people will find a way to throw all kinds of hatred your way. It's really disgusting.
It is gross.
And so then add on to the fact that, you know, some of these women are openly queer. Some of these women have wives who have had kids, and you should see the amount of hate that they get on social media just because they're excited that their wife had a kid.
Yeah.
And so I do kind of see their point when they're just like, yo, if we're going to be traveling in groups and people know our schedules, we think it would be safer if we didn't have to be in these areas where people just have
Can
such
come
easy
at you
access.
like that. Yeah. I
Because it's
agree.
like, people are like, well, you have to have a plane ticket and go through security in order to get to certain areas. There are people with enough hate in their hearts to buy a plane ticket just so they can go harass queer Black women.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There really are.
Oh yeah. Or bust through security.
Yes.
Like this dude did.
So there's that.
I wonder what would have happened if that would have been a Black man instead of a white man.
Good question.
He probably would have been tackled before he even got to security.
So on that note, is there anything else sports related? I do kind of want to touch on this thing that happened. I think it was over the weekend. It's old news, but it's come up again.
Okay.
This whole idea of Zeke coming back to the Cowboys.
I hope so. You know how I feel about Zeke.
So I'm gonna say
Zeke
this.
is my favorite.
I understand Zeke's value. I love Zeke, right? But
who doesn't love Zeke?
I don't know anybody who doesn't love Zeke. But what I will say is that the more I hear people discuss the politics of the situation, the money involved, it really does kind of make sense for the team not to take him back, and it has nothing to do with his perceived talent. I kind of made my stance on that clear. You know, I would like to see Zeke actually rest up and become like bounce
And
back a
healthy.
little bit better from because like he spent a couple of seasons basically compounding knee injury on top of knee injury.
Yeah.
And I think part of the impression that some people have that he quote unquote just doesn't have it anymore comes from him playing injured and not being who he could be at 100%, you know?
Yeah. That's what Don just said. We all love Zeke, but he can't play at a high level anymore.
I think he can. I think he can, but I think he needs to be healthy to do it. And I think he hasn't been healthy for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's a big issue. And a big part of the reason I say that is because I've seen so many athletes and how they can be impacted from an injury. Like John. John is strong as hell, but he had a knee injury and he could walk. He could still run, but he couldn't lift the same. And so it's not like he all of a sudden became weak. It's like his knee literally couldn't function the same way until he completely healed from that injury.
Right.
And now, like, he's back to squatting. He can squat like over 400 pounds now, you know? But what you say?
That is a lot of pounds.
you should tell him that because he still thinks he's not strong.
John.
He's like 400 pounds. That's not that much. And I'm just like,
John, listen, that's like more than 2 of me.
Right?
Like literally. That is 2.5 of me almost.
But I say that to say that just
together.
because somebody's not,
for you to like this is the thing, like you put it over your head and then you like go all the way down to the floor, like your ass is almost on the, and then you get up. That's a lot of pounds. That's the classic squat in my mind, but that's a lot of pounds to do that.
But I say that to say, like, just because you're not in a wheelchair or something doesn't mean that you're 100%. Sometimes people have injuries and we can't really see it as an onlooker, but it can really affect your mechanics and the force that you're able to exert, you know?
For sure.
So I would like to see how he can play once he has the opportunity to, you know, actually let himself get back to 100%, because that involves not only letting that knee heal, it involves like reestablishing like the firing of motor neurons, proprioception, and all kind of stuff once he does completely heal, right? But we have this issue where Tony Pollard is on a franchise tag and they're trying to figure out, should he get a payday after this franchise tag? Should he not? And so what that means is he needs an opportunity to show what he can do as RB1, to show what he can really do. not only for him to make sure he gets the amount of money that he's capable of getting, but for the team to make sure that they pay him as appropriate. Now, I'm not saying this is an ideal situation. I'm not saying that this is how things should go. I think in a perfect world, they would have found another way to work this out, because I do think there are a lot of people who would like to have Ezekiel Elliott back on the team, not only because of what he did as a running back, but as a blocker, he did a lot, and also as a presence in the locker room, he did a lot. There's so many people just in the building in general who have a lot of love for Zeke for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you bring him back, one of two things is going to happen. Either his presence is going to make it hard to understand the actual value of Tony Pollard, which won't be fair to him, because whether he stays with the Cowboys or goes to another team, the fair thing for him is to know what his true value is, right?
Yeah, that's what.
So either there's going to be a conflict there, or Zeke is going to have to be relegated to a position that's lower than what his true talent or skill warrants him.
Yeah.
Meaning,
that's sad.
Whatever his next payday would be might be lower than what his actual value is,
I know, that's
and
sad.
I don't think anybody wants that for Zeke either.
No. I know I don't.
Some people are like, well, if he's willing to take a pay cut, let him take it. And it's like, but you got to think about all the things that go into being a professional athlete, all the people who he has on his team. A lot of these athletes have agents, managers, trainers, professional chefs they have to consider.
Do you think he would have stayed if they would have given him like a lower contract, like less money?
I don't know. I've heard some people claim that that's the case, but I haven't heard anything officially from him or his camp, so I hesitate to actually speak on that.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that I cannot think of any scenario where somebody would take less than what they're worth for years on end. Because we could say it would just be for 1 year because he still needs to heal up. Maybe he doesn't play the first half of the season, yada, yada, yada. That works in theory until you consider the fact that that's going to impact whatever your next contract is. So he can't take a 1-year contract from the Cowboys for a really low amount and then expect that that's just going to be tripled the following year just because, unless he steps all over Tony Pollard's toes, which even if he's okay with that, the team that has to decide, okay, how are we going to negotiate this situation with Tony Pollard, who's on a franchise tag right now? They're not going to want that. Yeah. Because if they try to lowball Tony Pollard, he's going to go elsewhere and they might miss out.
We cannot lose time. We cannot lose TP, dog.
And that's the tricky situation.
TP fan forever.
And I said earlier, I said if you remove politics and money and contracts and perceived value and people's opinions from the situation, it becomes a lot easier of a situation to navigate, right?
Fair.
But if you remove all those things, now all of a sudden we're no longer talking about the NFL and Dallas Cowboys anymore, and we're talking about an imaginary situation.
My perfect world.
Have you ever seen that episode of South Park where they all go to Imagination Land and then Imagination Land gets bombed?
No.
Okay. There's an Imagination Land song in that episode, and every time I see people talk about this situation, that song plays in my head.
It is rent-free right there. Nice.
So Dom said he absolutely should get paid. He's been criminally underused up to this point. Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think, to be fair to Tony Pollard, they can't bring Zeke back right now. And hold on, my laptop battery's about to die. Say something. Talk about Zeke.
Zeke is the best. I love. No, but for real though, I always thought that Zeke and Pollard, and I've said this before, but I really always thought that they complemented each other so well. Like Zeke would just fucking plow through everything, and then TP would just come in and score the TD and do all the running crazy and shoo, 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 and he's he's like water, sometimes how did you even like stay upright?
I need to clip that and put that over a Tony Pollard highlight. But
that's what he looked like to me until fucking they broke him.
Some people are concerned. Some people are concerned about Tom said my favorite episode. Are you talking about South Park, the Imagination Land? Yo, and it wasn't just one episode. I think Imagination Land was a trilogy. But yes, classic South Park. like how South Park has made it this long without being canceled. I don't know. Like I consider it divine intervention, but Imagination Land is classic South Park. If you've never watched South Park or it's been a while, you need to go back and watch the Imagination Land trilogy.
I
That
have
shit is
not
classic.
really watched South Park like at all. So, but we're in like on a kick of watching like cartoons at night. We're watching American Dad right now, and we're talking about canceling like the shit that they get away with Roger on American Dad. Like that was so clever of them to just make him an alien, and you can just do whatever the fuck. Like he can be a man, a woman, any ethnicity. He can sing anything. He can say whatever because they can get away with it.
What are y'all watching after American Dad?
We're debating still.
You should watch Archer.
Archer.
Yes.
Okay. Remind me later.
Okay.
But yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Archer. What is Archer? Where is it? What platform is it on?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Because we were
But
debating.
you know you have access to my YouTube TV. You just never use it.
I got kicked out when you deleted it.
I didn't delete it.
Didn't you delete it? I got kicked out somehow.
Well, we'll fix it.
Yeah.
We'll fix it.
Never
We'll
mind.
fix it.
This is personal problems.
I feel like I should title this episode "Bitches Love Things Besides Sports."
Yeah. Bitches also have lives and watch cartoons sometimes.
But yeah, so I have a lot of love for Zeke, and if anybody has an actual recommendation for how this could work,
yeah,
in the real world, not the perfect world, in the real world, I would love to hear it. But that's the thing that I've had yet to hear. How does this work in a way that's fair to Zeke and Tony Pollard and to the Cowboys, and actually ultimately gives everybody what they deserve in terms of value?
Yeah. I don't know. I just miss him already.
I'm using Tony's TD versus Rams, adding Elena signals.
Shoo. I cannot wait.
We've got some good clips from this episode.
I cannot wait.
Shoo,
Yeah.
shoo, shoo, and look at my
dick.
Oh my goodness. I'm clipping. I'm messing it to Vod. See if
What's gonna be like, please tell me not to do that ever again. Please don't.
Today on the show, he played the clip where I was like, to me, Watch Lombardi is the most entertaining show that I watch, or something like that. I said something like that. But yeah. All right. I think we're at the end of our time. I didn't plan on us going this long.
No. I just want to say Messi came to the soccer league in America. He's going to play in Miami, right?
Miami.
Which is the same, the owner of Miami, which y'all don't know. If y'all haven't watched Shark Tank, you need to watch Shark Tank. Shark Tank is great. But one of the sharks is the owner of the Miami team, and also the owner of the Real Zaragoza, which is my home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm a Barcelona fan, but like I've said it multiple times, you have to follow your city, right? Like, and that's my city, and that's where I watch all the games with my dad, and we have the season passes and everything. So the Lions will always have in my heart, but he's the same owner, so we'll see.
Your accent is so cool. It don't sound like that when I speak Spanish.
My accent?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
When you pronounce certain words, I feel like it don't sound like that. I mean,
well, yeah.
Naturally, you grew up Spanish.
I was just gonna say it's just my first language. You know, it just been like that.
Black Dynamite on Max. I know I've seen that, but I can't think of what it is. All right, we're gonna have to take this conversation offline to Twitter or somewhere else because it's time for us to get out of here. And I'm sure Ever does not want to stay in longer than we need to. So
Ever, you're the best. We love you, Ever.
Also, Black Jesus. It doesn't come on anymore, but it was on Comedy Central. So if y'all haven't caught Black Jesus, yeah, catch that. Ooh. Anyway, so we're gonna get out of here. On that note, I'm Bitch 2.
I'm Bitch 1.
And we have terrible transitions today.
Bye.
We out.